After transmigrating into the story as the gentle second male lead, I used my knowledge of the plot to get ahead. My plan was simple: rescue the heroine before she fell from the cliffside path, sever her tragic entanglement with the ruthless male lead, and guide her softly into falling for me instead. What I didn't expect was to pull the scumbag male lead out of the churning waves instead. Worse, after growing up, he wanted me to be his husband. I wasn't having it. But this towering 6 feet 4 inches man wrapped his arms around me and whispered, "My heart, don't leave me." Story begins. As kids, I had to summon every ounce of strength and every survival tip I'd ever learned to drag the drowning boy from the sea. Sitting on the wet rocks by the private cove, I was panting, drenched from head to toe. Luckily, we were still just children, and the tide hadn't been too fierce. The boy lying beside me was pale, eyes closed, long lashes resting against his cheeks. Still as stone, my own lashes dripped seawater, blurring my vision as I wiped at my eyes. Bracing myself, I placed my small hand on his chest and began compressions with all the strength I could muster. Despite knowing he was the male lead with protagonist protection, I couldn't help but panic. Maybe it was because I was a transmigrator trapped in a child's body, but I was genuinely afraid Lucien Voss might die. And this was a life, after all, my neighbor, practically a brother, even if he was destined to become a cold-hearted tyrant later. My CPR was textbook. Just then, the heroine arrived with a few uncles and aunties in tow, face full of worry. "Someone fell in," she cried. So that's where she'd gone off to get help. Somehow fate had twisted things around. Spotting the approaching group and familiar faces, I called out brightly, "Marcus, Lena, we're over here." My childish voice cut through the commotion, drawing the adults over quickly. A kid nearly drowning was bad enough, but another kid pulling him out and performing CPR? 2 bodyguards shoved through the crowd. Ours, no doubt. They froze in horror upon seeing the scene. One moment unsure whether to feel relieved to have found the young masters, the next terrified at Lucien Voss's unconscious state. Just then he coughed, spluttering seawater from his mouth. His lashes trembled. He was awake. The bodyguards rushed over, scooping each of us into their arms and carrying us away from the cove. On the shoulder of one guard, I turned to wave at the heroine. "Thanks for getting help." "Bye." She waved back, bright and cheerful. "Bye, flip of fate." See, what a sweet heroine. And yet, she'd grow up into a strong-willed woman, falling hard for a heartless magnate, one who saved her from peril, thus making her believe in destined love. That was the original story. The heroine and male lead got separated from the adults at the coastal estate. She slipped near the edge. He saved her. She fell for him hard, even as he tormented her. It wasn't until he nearly betrayed her that she woke up. Then came the classic male lead, chasing his wife to the ends of the earth arc. Meanwhile, I was the gentle second lead childhood neighbor to the male lead, but not particularly close. Why do latecomers win the girl? Because the early ones never fight for her. So I fought. I planned to steal that rescue moment and rewrite fate, but somehow I saved Lucien Voss instead. At least everyone was safe. At the hospital, the director had already heard and sent a team to wait anxiously. We changed cars midway, and both the Voss and Hale families had rushed over, terrified. Fortunately, Lucien was fine. After a thorough checkup, he hugged me and cried, snot and all. I tried to get off the bed, but Mom gently said, "Sweetie, don't be like that. Your little neighbor is scared. Can you stay with him a bit?" I frowned. I was only a few days older than him and didn't want to be the older brother. Being an older brother meant looking after the younger one. Thanks. Mom saw my scrunched up face and chuckled, ruffling my hair. "You were very brave today, Kai. But you scare Mommy too. Next time, don't wander off without an adult." "Okay." I nodded. Mrs. Voss, eyes red and puffy, was the most shaken. Her husband was away on business overseas, and she had been beside herself with fear. Having saved Lucien, she held my mother's hands tightly, endlessly grateful. While the mom spoke emotionally, I glanced over at Lucien. His face was dry now. The crying had stopped. "Kai," he said softly. As I looked over, his lips quivered. He was about to cry again. Despite his sharp and handsome features, he was such a crybaby. I pinched his cheek. No crying. Lucien bit his lip and nodded eagerly. Then, can Kai sleep with me tonight? I was tired too, and still just a kid. After all the day's chaos, I nodded and lay down. It was a spacious room, and the bed was big enough. We both fell asleep quickly. I woke up hot. Lucien had come down with a high fever, sweating buckets, and heating up the entire bed. But by the next day, he was bouncing around again. We lived next door on the estate, so he came over every day. Right now, we were lying on the plain mat doing puzzles. Daddy doesn't come home, he mumbled. Mommy cried. I was still too young to process complex emotions. Did you try comforting Auntie Alara? Lucia nodded hard. I did, but she cried even harder. Did I do something wrong? He leaned his cheek on his little hand, confused. I kept searching for puzzle pieces. You're just a kid. You're not a bad guy. Of course you didn't do anything wrong. Whoa. He pounced on me out of nowhere. I was already lying on the floor, so it became a full-on faceplant. Kai, he wailed, moved beyond words. I nearly rolled my eyes. Don't be fooled. This clingy baby was tall and sturdy for his age. I, on the other hand, was leaner and lighter. With him crushing me like this, I almost lost my breath. I honestly didn't enjoy playing with him, always crying, always needing me. But he adored sticking to me. Sometimes he'd sneak over at night in his tiny slippers, scaring his mom half to death. No choice. I'd let him sleep over. At least he always shared everything. Even with cake, he'd save me the biggest piece. In elementary school, I got mistaken for a girl because I was too pretty. The class bully pulled my hair and Lucien beat him up. He hit someone for me. What could I do? I stood up, eyes red, and told the teacher, Theo bullied me first. He's the bad guy. I look like a porcelain doll. And with Lucien sporting a bruise too, the teacher couldn't blame either of us. Even the parents were reasonable. Theo got scolded and spanked. From far away, you could hear him scream, Kai's a girl, Kai's a girl. Ow, got kicked for that. Lucien looked fierce when fighting, but afterward he'd hug me, begging for a kiss to feel better. Like hell I'd kiss him. We're in grade school now, not preschool. When we started middle school, his dad's affair was exposed. His parents divorced. His mom didn't take him with her. He cried uncontrollably in front of me. Kai, my mom doesn't want me anymore. I said flatly. It's your dad who didn't want your mom, and Auntie Alara probably had her reasons. You can't blame her. He stopped crying, looking downcast. I handed him tissues. When are you going to stop this crying habit? His lip trembled. Here we go again. But knowing what he was going through, I stayed patient and kept him company until he bounced back that in high school. He finally stopped crying. He became cold, distant, his words few and far between. And right on cue, the heroine transferred into our class. What was unexpected, she didn't seem interested in Lucien Voss or in me. She was focused entirely on her studies. She was smart and beautiful, admired by many. There was no painful love triangle, no damsel in distress, no need for a second male lead to sweep in. That's how it should be. But her literature essays needed work, so she often came to me for help. I was happy to assist, but this made Lucien Voss visibly unhappy. That night, after evening study hall, he came home with a face like thunder. I ignored him at first, but he couldn't hold it in and finally snapped in the car. Kai, don't you think that girl is getting a little too close to you? His tone was sharp. We're in the same class. So what's with calling her that girl? And that was the female lead, no less. Her name is Lila Evergreen, I replied. She's just asking me about essay structure. Totally normal since I'm a class rep. Lucien glared out the car window. You've changed. I looked at him, then scooted a bit closer. I haven't. You're the one who's changed the most. Let me see. Have you secretly been crying again? A flush instantly crept up the back of his ears. He turned to glare at me. To be honest, I used to hate being called Big Brother. It always meant coaxing Lucien, but now that we were older, the title gave me the upper hand. Still, Lucien was spoiled. He declared as bossy as ever. You have changed. Don't try to deny it. I'll deal with you when we get back. I raised a brow. We'll see who deals with who. Naturally, we both got into the same university, not the same major, though. I told him to pick what he liked. As for ending up in the same dorm room, that was him pulling strings with two different professors. I thought he'd hate dorm life. Turned out he was more excited than I was. He helped set up my bed and unpack my stuff while I sat in a chair, scrolling on my phone and texting our parents. Lying on the upper bunk, Lucien called down. "Hey, pass me the throw pillow from your suitcase." It was a navy and silver plushie he'd given me long ago. "Sure," I said, handing it up. After finishing my bed, he started working on his. This time, he told me to help him. I stood outside the room. He'd call out what he needed, and I passed it over. Once everything was set, he pulled up the bed curtain with practiced ease. I had a sneaking suspicion he'd studied how to do all this behind my back. And I was right. He'd read several dorm setup guides, especially on maximizing space when using a top bunk setup with curtains. He'd even arranged for everything in advance. Now, the curtain hung from the ceiling, enclosing our bunks on one side of the room. It gave the illusion of a shared private world. Lucien seemed satisfied. So was I. That afternoon, we went out to eat. Lucien casually slung his arm over my shoulder, fingers long and relaxed. His other hand held his phone as he scrolled through the school's online forums. Suddenly, he clicked his tongue. I was eating a shaved ice, already a little upset. There was a huge bite taken out of it. Not by me. "What's wrong?" I asked, taking another bite. He handed me his phone. "I was just trying to find a good place to eat. But look, someone posted a photo of us and said we look like a couple." I looked at the screen. Sure enough, a post showed a photo of our backs as we stood together. The comments were full of shipping fans asking for our names, some even begging for our socials. I frowned. "Can we get it deleted?" Lucien took my hand, then took a bite of my shaved ice. "I'll try." "Hey," I glared at him. I asked if he wanted one earlier. He ignored me, pushed me forward quickly. "Come on, let's go get ramen." We returned to the dorm after dinner. It felt strangely like we'd stepped into another stage of life. That night, I didn't sleep well. I could hear Lucien tossing and turning constantly. Just as I was about to doze off, he sat up and whispered, "Kai, I can't sleep. Here we go again." He always called me Kai when something was up. "What now?" He climbed into my bed. "Kai, my chest feels tight." I heard the creak of the mattress. Tried to stop him, but didn't because I knew it wouldn't work. I just scooted over to make room. He lay down beside me, wrapping his arms around me. The bed's so small. I kind of want to move off campus. He was too close. I shifted back awkwardly, but there was nowhere to go. I tried to keep calm. Dorm beds are always like this. You'll get used to it. He was about to speak again when I placed a finger on his lips. "You'll wake the others, Lucien." Feeling the touch, he went quiet. His legs were so long they dangled off the bed. He curled them up, knees bumping against mine. Once he started dozing off, I nudged him back to his own bed. My pillow and blanket still carried the soft, clean scent of him. I fell asleep not long after. After military training, we both tanned a bit, but my skin was pale to begin with, so I recovered quickly. Lucien didn't care. After a shower, he came out in a tank top and stood in front of me. "Smell me. I'm all man now." "Excuse me." Come on, Kai." He pressed in close. "Smell me." I felt awkward. How does one smell someone like that? But he insisted, and I wasn't the kind of person to cause a fuss, so I leaned in and took a sniff. Warm. Not much scent, just the body wash. Strangely, we used the same brand, but it smelled different on him. Hard to explain, but nice. I sniffed again. Lucien's throat moved. He grabbed my arms and started sniffing around my neck. "Kai, you smell so good." I laughed and shoved him away. "Cut it out." He rubbed his face against my neck in retaliation. We fooled around on the balcony for a while until our roommates came back with takeout. "Did you guys eat yet?" "I did," I answered. Lucien, face expressionless, pushed me into the dorm by the shoulders. He still hated living in the dorms. Said it lacked privacy. On weekends, he came home with me, slept in the same room. My mom was away on a business trip, so my dad cooked for us. Maybe because his parents' marriage had always been rocky, Lucien came off a little pitiful. My whole family was pretty good to him. That night, he tossed and turned again. Eventually, one of his legs landed on mine. I opened my eyes. "What now? You can't sleep at school." Now you can't sleep at home either. Lucien sounded a little aggrieved. Okay, I don't know what's wrong with me. I figured he was dwelling on family stuff again. I smiled and opened my arms. All right, come here. I'll hug you. He swallowed hard in the dark and threw himself into my arms, literally. He landed on top of me and took a deep breath. I wrapped my arms around him and patted his back. Don't be dramatic. I'm tired. Yawning, I was about to drift off when he rolled off me and lay on his side facing me. Okay. I fell asleep almost instantly. But in the dark, Lucien watched me silently, inching closer. Kai, he whispered. No answer. I was really asleep. He leaned down and pressed his lips to mine. His breath came faster, kiss deepening slightly. I let out a faint hum in my sleep. He caught my hand, pressed it somewhere below, then leaned in and exhaled by my ear. So good. But that was all. He didn't dare do more. He simply held me like that. In my dreams, it felt hot. When I woke up, Lucien was clinging to me. No wonder I'd felt something pressing against me in my sleep. Still half asleep, he mumbled. Okay, do you think guys in the dorms actually help each other out? Excuse me? I stared at him, finally understanding what he meant. You're not serious. Isn't that gross? Lucien Voss froze. You think I'm disgusting? I tried to push him away. You're too warm. He backed off, visibly hurt, a deep frown on his face. Got it. I tilted my head, watching him. Don't be like those people. Lucien didn't respond. Instead, he suddenly yanked the blanket aside. I thought he was getting out of bed until I saw what he was doing. My pupils constricted. What the hell are you doing? He looked annoyed. None of your business. Excuse me? You're on my bed. His reddened eyes turned to me. You're really drawing the line now, huh? What? Do you like someone else already? This is your bed. You're kicking me out. You won't even help me. We've grown up together. I never said you were disgusting. Okay? You've changed. You're ashamed of me. Here we go again. I sat up exasperated. Stop being unreasonable. Lucien lowered his gaze. Then help me. I didn't dare look at that. He was tall, well-built, had always grown faster than me. And now the difference was even worse. I had no clue what that even meant anymore. I said nothing, just got out of bed. Lucien quickly followed. I went to the bathroom to wash up, and he stopped the door with his hand as I tried to close it. Okay. I stared into his misty red eyes for a long moment before I finally let go. At breakfast downstairs, Lucien was in a great mood. I, on the other hand, felt out of it. My hand trembled slightly as I gripped my fork. It was just the two of us at the table. My dad had left early to pick up my mom and even transferred money to my account, telling us to have fun. The housekeeper prepared a bunch of snacks for us after the meal. Lucien leaned in close and whispered, Kai, I don't think I've ever been this happy. Do you think being together would feel even better? I blinked at him, stunned. Suddenly, things clicked. I sighed and said earnestly, You've really grown up. We sat in the garden under the cherry blossom tree. It was the right season, and the blossoms were in full bloom. I held a book, flipping through it as he rested beside me. He glanced at the pages, then asked lazily, Aren't you curious? I shook my head. I just think guys who spend the whole day thinking about that sort of thing aren't decent men. I want to be a good guy. Lucien Voss, struck by my words, visibly flinched. I don't think about it all day. He leaned his head on my shoulder. Do you think you'll get married someday? Of course, I answered without hesitation. But the moment the words left my mouth, I felt a strange twinge. I couldn't explain it. Lucien's eyes dropped, but a smile slowly tugged at his lips. When you get married, I'll give you a very special gift. I didn't even ask what it was. Okay. He wrapped an arm around my waist and closed his eyes, muttering, Do you think any guy would be okay with how close we are? I didn't answer. A breeze swept through the garden, carrying the scent of flowers and grass. I kept flipping through my book. Not long after we returned to school, I ran into Lila Evergreen. She was in the same department and class as Lucien. I had no idea. He never mentioned her. She approached me on her own, bringing coffee and sitting beside me. I skipped class today. Huh? She winked. Lucien told me not to come see you. I apologized instinctively. He can be like that. Don't take it personally. Lila rested her chin in her hand. I'm not offended. I just think it's weird. What's weird? She frowned. He's different around you. I paused. Different how? Just be careful. Lucian doesn't act like a good person when it comes to you. Then she smiled politely. Anyway, I'll be off. See you around. Thanks again. Thanks for the kindness in my voice and the patience in my explanation for helping her realize, after years of infatuation, that liking someone was ultimately a trivial matter. To compromise is to sink. To struggle upward is growth. She was proud of who she was now. I watched her walk away, unaware of her unspoken affection, only marveling at how wonderful it was that someone as bright as Lila Evergreen wasn't destined for the male lead. I couldn't help wondering, did Lucian Voss really not act like a good person around me? Lila had just left when Lucian stormed into the room, face dark. I was lucky I sat in the back. He took a seat. A few students turned to look. Some are my classmates. I whispered, "Why are you here?" "Skipping class," he scowled. "I ran into that Lila girl. She's called Lila Evergreen. She came to talk about me, didn't she?" I shook my head. "She didn't. You're siding with her. You're being irrational." I turned away, refusing to engage. It was the only class we shared that day. Lucian felt like he couldn't let his guard down for even a second. The truth was he didn't hate Lila Evergreen specifically. He just disliked anyone who got close to me. As a kid, he used to think even my parents were trying to steal me away from him. He knew that was wrong, but it didn't stop him from spiraling in his own dark little world until he finally burst into tears, clutching me and crying, "Kai is mine." His voice still echoed in my head. Can any guy accept us being this close? That was what he'd asked me, and for the first time, I felt fear. Not from closeness, but from the fact that we'd crossed a line. I began to distance myself. It was subtle. If he tried to climb into my bed at night, I'd say it was going to collapse. If he wanted to share food I'd bitten, I'd stuff the whole thing in my mouth, nearly choking. I refused all kinds of brotherly help. Lucia noticed something was off. One day I was taking a nap. I woke up and sensed someone nearby. Turning, I nearly jumped. He was just standing there tall and motionless. My heart skipped a beat. "What's wrong?" His eyes were shadowed. Then he smiled. "I'm going out tonight. Just letting you know." I blinked. "What for?" "Friends invited me for drinks. I won't be back tonight. Don't call." He pulled the curtain aside and walked out. Before I could fully process it, his footsteps were already fading. Then came the click of the door. I got up and rushed out after him, but the hallway was empty. Just as I was about to chase after him further, I stopped myself. I couldn't keep doing this. We had to go back to being just right. I returned to the dorm and closed the door. Not far around the corner, Lucian reappeared. He hadn't gone far at all, just a few steps away. He gave a bitter laugh and turned to leave. The drinking plan was real. Lucian went out with a few other rich heirs. Some brought girls, others boys. They tried to set him up with someone, but they were hesitant. So, what about Kai? Honestly, the reason no one dared set him up with anyone was because if Kai Hale ever found out, Lucian Voss would absolutely lose his mind. No one would come out of this unscathed. Lucian Voss downed one drink after another. Then, with eyes sharp as a blade, he glanced over and said, "Call him." "What?" He kicked the table. I said, "Did you call him?" Lucian had always been domineering, especially when I wasn't around. Cold and sharp-edged, and yet everyone still played along. One of the guys quickly pulled out his phone and dialed me. Lucian was drinking heavily, cheeks flushed, but he was pacing himself, careful not to get wasted. When I arrived, he was lounging on the couch, one leg crossed, a cigarette between his lips. My expression darkened the moment I stepped inside. The noise cut off instantly. "Kai, you're here." The others, already drunk and leaning on one another, greeted me with laughter and slurred speech. I nodded briefly and walked over. Without a word, I snatched the cigarette from Lucian's lips. He looked up at me, squinting slightly through the smoke, then scoffed. "What are you doing here?" What was I doing here? I didn't know, only that I wouldn't be able to sleep if I didn't come. "Stop being a brat. Get up. Let's go." Lucian uncrossed his legs and stretched them out to the side. "I'm drinking." The others sensed the tension and tried to step in, but Lucian shot them a glare so fierce that they froze. He turned back to me, casual again. I stubbed the cigarette into the ashtray. I said, "Get up. We're going home." My tone wasn't soft either, but Lucian ignored me. He grabbed another drink and downed it. I snatched the glass from his hand. Lucien Voss, what? He leaned back. Didn't you say you don't care anymore? You've been avoiding me. So why does it matter what I do now? I struggled to explain this. This isn't right. He laughed. What's not right? I'm an adult. I can do whatever I want. My parents don't care. You don't care. If you decided to keep your distance, then go. Don't meddle in my life. Some of the others quietly relocated to a table outside. Was this a breakup? It was rare to see us fight. I should have left. Lucien was right. He was an adult now, capable of handling his own choices. But I didn't move. I didn't know if it was him who needed me, or if I simply couldn't let go of Lucien Voss. Seeing me stand there in silence irritated him even more. He got up, unsteady on his feet, and walked out. I grabbed his coat and followed, telling the others, it's on me. You guys keep drinking. Lucien leaned against the wall and dry heaved. I followed at a quiet distance. He turned around, red-eyed. Just go, Kai. His voice was hoarse. He knew I'd been pulling away. He knew exactly what those words meant. Go back to your normal life. He turned and walked off, long legs steady, but spirit weighed down. I followed silently. He walked ahead, head lowered, shoulders hunched. For the first time, he looked defeated. Then I stopped, and after a few steps, so did he. He turned back. Lucien, are we? My voice caught. Are we not even friends anymore? His expression cracked. His eyes burned red, glistening with tears. His throat constricted. I can't do it. My chest tightened painfully. Then what do we do now? My eyes stung. Tears slid down my cheeks. For the first time, I cried in front of him. Lucien rushed forward and wrapped me in a fierce hug. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The dorm was closed for the night, so we went to Lucien's apartment, one close to campus, bought for him by Mrs. Voss. We'd been there before after it was renovated, so it wasn't unfamiliar. He was still a little drunk, face flushed, but clearly happier, even without promises or clarity. The fact that I hadn't outright rejected him lifted his spirits. He bent down to get me slippers, flipped on the breakers, and went to boil water. Everything was tidy. Housekeeping came by regularly. After showering, I went to sleep in the guest room. I lay staring at the ceiling. Sleep wouldn't come, so when the door opened with a soft click in the middle of the night, I wasn't startled. The night light by the bed cast a soft glow. Lucien saw my open eyes the moment he stepped in. It was awkward, but he shut the door quickly, crossed the room, and slipped under the covers beside me. Okay, I stayed on my back. You can't keep doing this. He leaned closer, breath brushing my ear. Doing what? His low, magnetic voice sent heat blooming across my cheek. I didn't answer. A dark look flickered through his eyes. Boldly, he kissed my ear. A light touch. Why didn't stop him? His lips moved to my cheek. Then I turned my head away. Lucien, let me think. His hand slid to my waist. I stiffened, reaching to stop him, but I was too slow. He pressed against me, voice rough with want. Gay. I squeezed my eyes shut. But is it because I saved you? He kissed the corner of my mouth. Urgent. No. What does that have to do with anything? I'm sorry. Gay. I like you. I can't help it. I'm sorry. I bent my knee, trying to push him away, but I had no strength. My palms landed on his chest. It was so hot. The next day, we returned to campus. The air between us was tense. He didn't dare overstep again. Even kisses were restrained. Freshman year passed faster than I realized. Lucien became like a puppy, glowing whenever I showed him warmth. And I couldn't stop giving it. But if I went quiet or distant, he'd look at me with those moody eyes. I hadn't meant to cross this line, but now I didn't know how to go back. Sometimes I'd scribble on my notebook, "Why do you even like me?" Outside, the wind howled, but the classroom was warm. Class hadn't started yet. He came to sit in again. Lucien Voss looked at me with bright eyes, though they were usually cold. Under the desk, he squeezed my fingertips and whispered, "Just because you're you, Kai. No other reason." Just sitting with him felt sweet. I couldn't get a clear answer. I leaned on my hand and wondered, why haven't I rejected him yet? I hated this. I should have turned him down hard. That night, we went back to his place. Outside the apartment, he insisted on carrying me on his back. I gave in, flopping onto him. He lifted me easily. "Slow down, Lucien. Don't drop me." My soft voice made his lashes flutter. He shouted, "Don't worry, Kai. I'll carry you for the rest of my life." Then he started to run. I clung to him, laughing. Inside, he didn't turn on the lights. He pinned me to the wall, kissed me. His breath was hot, but even in his passion, he never lost control. He cupped my face and said, "Seriously, don't be scared, Kai. You'll always have a way out. If one day you hate me, I'll disappear." He would guard me. I lifted my lashes slowly. "Even if I get married, have kids?" Lucien's eyes reddened with pain. Maybe even then." I hugged him. "And you?" His voice broke. "I only have you, Kai." My heart pounded with unease. He saw my confused look and murmured, "Sorry, Kai. Don't mind me." I didn't know what we were anymore. Sometimes when he was being rough, he'd whisper for me to keep my legs closed. In our second year, Lucien started interning at his family's company. He grew more composed. We moved out of the dorms. He stopped coming to my house. I wouldn't let him. He was clearly hurt, but didn't argue. Not until he noticed how strangely my parents were treating him and realized something was off. That was when I stopped trying. During finals, I stayed on campus. Lucien juggled work and school. I was cold toward him. The stress made him start smoking again. He'd only quit because I hated kissing ashtrays. "Okay, what's going on?" He held me gently after finals, asking in a whisper. "Nothing," I said. "Is it me? Did I mess something up?" I said nothing, just went into the room and started packing. He saw. His face fell. He grabbed me, refusing to let go. "What are you doing? Why are you leaving?" "I'm tired." His body stiffened. That night, I didn't leave easily. He begged, blocked the door, nearly got down on his knees. The next day, he showed up at my house, eyes bloodshot. My parents blocked the door, wouldn't let him in. They looked at him like he was the enemy. That's when he realized they knew. And all this time, I had been carrying the pressure alone, hoping to gain their support. But now, I didn't want to fight anymore. From the stairwell, I peeked down and saw him kneel to my parents. "It's all my fault. Don't blame Kai. It was me. I forced him." My father struck Lucien across the face. He was about to kick him too, but my mother held him back. "Lucien, our family never treated you badly. You can't do this to us or to Kai." Lucien Voss kept his head down. His broad shoulders trembled. "I love Kai," he said hoarsely. "I'm sorry." Furious, my parents threw him out. Later, my mom came to my room to talk. As we spoke, her tears wouldn't stop. She was shaking. I sat pale-faced, overwhelmed with guilt. "I'm sorry, Mom. Please don't cry. I won't see him anymore." But I wasn't happy. I stopped going out. I stared into space often, lost in thought. Lucien Voss, however, came every day. He didn't care about being yelled at or hit. He even climbed the wall to see me. "Okay, I just want to see you. I won't do anything." I looked at him coldly. "Don't come again." His expression wilted. His lips quivered. "Not even just to see you?" I nodded. So, he started following me like a stalker without letting me notice. My parents took me overseas to get away from it all. I sat on the beach, dazed. Even during meals, I drifted. Nothing interested me anymore. I think I must have loved Lucien Voss. I was just too much a coward. While out shopping, we were nearly robbed. But Lucien appeared out of nowhere, caught the thief, and returned my mom's purse. I wasn't surprised, but my parents were. He handed the bag back to my mom, then glanced at me deeply before leaving awkwardly. My parents didn't say anything for a long time. Afterward, their attitude toward him softened. Mrs. Voss visited us repeatedly to apologize, saying she and her ex-husband had failed both Lucien and Kai. Eventually, my parents stopped opposing our contact. Truth be told, they just couldn't bear seeing me that unhappy. I didn't even know what was wrong with me. I just felt heavy all the time. But somehow I still managed to endure. Lucien Voss was working even harder. He handled company matters brilliantly. Made time for me no matter how busy he was, even if it meant staying up all night. He followed me secretly. When I hung out with friends, some random person would show up to deliver flowers or gifts. It was childish. I never accepted them. My friends thought it was hilarious. After a late dinner, they left, and I wandered alone through the plaza. Snow was falling. Another year had passed. It felt like Lucien Voss and I had come full circle. Trailing behind me was the same beautiful man. I turned around. His eyes were red. Kai. My nose stung. He rushed over and hugged me tight. Kai. Back at his place, he busied himself getting me snacks and drinks. With his back to me, I saw his shoulders start to shake. I walked over and hugged him from behind. He choked on his words. Please don't leave me. I'm begging you, Kai. I'm begging you. Lucien. I let him turn around and cupped his face, kissing him gently. It had only been a few months. He froze, then hugged me fiercely and kissed me back. When he pressed me down on the bed and tried to pull away, I wrapped my legs around his waist, kissed him again. His eyes darkened, voice rough. Kai, don't you know I can't hold back? I kissed his lips again. Then don't. His muscles burned hot against me, but he still held back. Are you really okay with this? I am, I whispered. Then he lost control. We had been intimate before, but never fully. This time, it was real. The next morning, I was curled in his arms, crying. It woke him up. He sat up and slapped himself hard. The sound echoed, and I stopped crying, stunned. When he raised his hand again, I grabbed his wrist. Lucien. He looked pale. Ilmam monsterke. I chuckled softly and opened my arms. Come here. Let Kai hold you. His eyes grew wet again. He buried himself in my embrace. Don't leave me, Kai. I'll behave. I'll listen to everything. Just don't leave me. I won't, I said softly. When my parents found out we were together, their eyes turned red, but they didn't say anything. Even Lucien's divorced parents came together to apologize and give their blessing. They offered me company shares, fund dividends, who knows what else they agreed on. Lucien clung to me constantly. If we didn't do that, he still had to hold me. I had a soft spot for him. Once we were officially together, I spoiled him without meaning to, but some of his requests were outrageous. One time, I slapped him lightly in frustration. He only got more excited. I love you so much, Kai. He'd cry with every confession as if on the verge of tears. After graduation, I went to grad school. He became a general manager. When I finished my degree and stayed on as a teaching assistant, Lucien was already the CEO of one of the Voss Corp subsidiaries. And then one night, Lucien choked suddenly, spat out water, and woke up gasping. His mother, Mrs. Voss, had become a major name in the tech world after their divorce. She remarried and had a daughter, but all assets were split evenly. One evening, I was reviewing student papers. Lucien offered to help. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. He glanced over, annoyed. Who's that? A soon-to-graduate student asking a lot of questions. Being professional, I answered some of them. Lucien's face darkened. Stop replying to him. I glanced at him. Okay. Gone was a shy boy. Now he was composed, intense, powerful. We were both in our 30s, but his possessiveness hadn't aged a day. At night, he was rough. My heart touched my face. I murmured and brushed his cheek. So handsome. Lucien, call me darling. Tears in my eyes, I whispered. Darling. He kissed the corners of my eyes. Darling, I love you. Plenty of people had tried to seduce him over the years, but Lucien dealt with them harshly, scaring most off. There were also people who wanted to replace him. I hadn't paid much attention. Most were immature kids, I thought. But one student after graduation worked hard, made something of himself, and seriously started pursuing me. Lucien found out and was furious. He sent someone to warn him, but the whole thing left a mark on him. The next morning, he kissed me awake. My heart, did you forget to say something? Still half asleep, I murmured, I love you. He smiled, lips curving softly. The end.
Make sure to subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so you never miss a single update.